Greetings to all. I heartily welcome you all to the Top Talks. Good morning, Suhas sir, Shravan sir. Good evening, Sajeev sir, my dear seniors and my friends. Let us start our session with the invocation by Sandhya.
This is who we are. We are a team. Talented, energetic, astonishing mindsets. We can do anything and everything. We talk, we care, we respect each other. We see beauty in everyone. We are connected by values and driven by souls. We celebrate each other. We provide value to others. We take ownership in everything. We have freedom to make mistakes. We learn as we go. We are mad to make a difference. We love disruptive ideas. We make impossible things possible. We are strong to question the creation. We believe in dreaming big. If we do not dare to dream big, are we really living? Why be ordinary when we can be extraordinary? This is who we are. By Shivanik Shirsagar.
Thank you, Sandhya. Today's top speaker is Dr. Suhas Kumar sir from Canada, who certified Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt and also Lean Operational Excellence Black Belt from USA. Has 20 years of experience in Lean Six Sigma training, coaching, and mentoring, and also managing in manufacture, wholesale, retail, and public sectors enterprises in Canada. Sir, we are fortunate to have you as our top speaker and also glad to hear your teachings about Lean Six Sigma. Before Sir starts the session, I would like to give a glimpse about Lean Six Sigma. Lean Six Sigma. It is a method that relies on a collaborative team effort to improve performance by systematically removing waste. It includes 8 kinds of waste: defects, overpopulation, overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and extra processing. It provides organizations tools to improve the capability of their business processes. Lean means systematic way of eliminating waste. Six Sigma means set of techniques that strive to reduce the rate of defects. This is something I know about Lean Six Sigma, and now I would like to know more about it from Suhas sir. Sir, I would like you to take over the session.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dipti, for your kind introduction. Um, I can see that all of you are already quite knowledgeable in Lean and Six Sigma, which is really great. And you want to start on this Lean Six Sigma path and journey very early, in your studies and as students. So, which means that you are going to do a lot of great things in the coming years. Yeah, since all of you have shown a lot of interest in learning about Lean Six Sigma, Shravan sir and I thought that why don't we start with a talk, and talk about some basic principles of Lean and Six Sigma, and introduce that topic to all of you, so that then we can build on that, through a possible training that we are trying to organize, a Yellow Belt training in month of May. That way, you will get to learn how to apply Lean and Six Sigma. Today we'll learn what it is, a bit about that, and then in training we'll cover how we can use Lean Six Sigma on continuous improvement for process improvement projects. All right. So with that, let me get started here. Okay, and then what the way we will do today is that we will take a couple of breaks, maybe after some topics, and then there will be some time for you to ask questions if you have any, and then we'll continue to move on. All right. So once again, welcome to Introduction to Lean Six Sigma. Let me see how we can get started here with the presentation. Lean Six Sigma for process improvement, and definitely I need to improve this process going forward. So basically what we were talking about is some of the topics that we are going to discuss today. What is Lean, different types of waste that we encounter in Lean, some tools that we use to eliminate and reduce those wastes from our process. But we also want to understand what's the process, and then what is Six Sigma, a bit about history of Lean and Six Sigma. We'll take a look at that, and then Lean Six Sigma organization, how it works, and benefits of learning Lean Six Sigma through a Lean Six Sigma training program. So let's get started with the scenario, real life scenario that we face. Um, Today we are in the midst of a pandemic, and medical community tells us that comorbidities such as obesity, are they increase the risk of critical illness. And so one of the things that we want to do is overcome this if we are facing that. So if we are part of group A, we want to be in group B, right? So basically we want to be in better shape to handle illness in case if we fall ill. So to get from A to B, what can we do? We can develop a plan, right? We need to develop a plan first to become lean. If we are in group A, we want to become lean. We want to weigh ourselves. You weigh yourself, develop a diet and a fitness plan to achieve your goal, right? So do you develop a plan, and then do what is planned, right? Do planned activities. We want to eat right. We want to minimize carbs. We want to minimize fat from our food, and then we want to have the right kind of proteins. Also, at the same time, we may join a gym to exercise regularly, right, on daily basis, uh, and seek support from family and friends. So once we do that, we are hoping that we are on the way to reducing the weight, and then we check weight and fitness level. Ask a question: are you on your way to achieve target weight and fitness? If you are, then you want to act on the plan fully to attain desired lean and fitness level, right? Make changes to lifestyle, sustain new level of fitness. So we need to adjust that and roll it out. Whatever we have been doing for a few weeks, we want to roll it out through the rest of our life, so that we stay lean, we stay fit. So that's how we are going to get from group A to group B and get back in better shape. So now coming to lean. What is lean? So that gives you a sense of how certain things we can do in our lives, from real life example. So lean really is a mindset to maximize value for customers by doing more with less. So what we need is a mindset and a set of behaviors if we want to continuously improve. Just like we would want to improve ourselves in companies, in organizations, we want to develop a mindset to do that. We apply, as we saw, plan, do, check, act, this method to continuously improve processes. In plan phase, we try to determine where we are, where we need to be, and the actions that we need to take to get there. So there will be, we will identify waste, then we will develop a plan to attack that waste, right? So that would happen in plan phase. Then we will start implementing that plan. In the do phase, on a limited basis, on a trial basis, we roll out the plan, we check the plan, the feasibility of it. We make certain changes in our processes and the way we interact with the processes as process team members. Okay, so we try that out, and then we check whether we have the results. Okay, are we on the right track to see if things have improved? If they have improved, we confirm that, then we act on it. We roll out the changes across the organization, across the business unit, wherever we are working in our process area. And then we develop the right set of behaviors to sustain those changes, so that we work at a higher level of efficiency with less waste, and we are maximizing value for our customers. So we use tools to identify and eliminate waste or non-value adding activities, right? So that's how, in a nutshell, that's how lean works, right? It's very simple, actually, PDCA, but it is very people-oriented technique. So we want to work in teams. Just like in our eCell, we are collaborating and we are engaging with each other, we are sharing. Same way in lean, we have to develop the mindset to be a team player and we want to maximize value. We are developing a value system in eCell. Same way in Lean, we want to have a value system that focuses on maximizing value for our customers, right? In business, we want to make sure that we are looking at things from customer perspective. So when we talk about identifying waste, what are those wastes? So in businesses, especially in manufacturing and also in sales distribution, even in retail, we face the problem of too much inventory, transportation, unnecessary transportation of goods. Even these days, in service industry as well, people move from one building to another, to for meetings and things like that. Of course, in today with COVID in place, we are doing most of the meetings are done virtually, but that used to be a big form of waste in service industry. Then in manufacturing, we have overproduction. So overproduction is when we produce more than what the customers are looking for, right? So then it basically adds to the pile of too much inventory. Waiting is the number one waste that I have seen in the industry. Waiting for the next step to be performed. That is the biggest contributor to waste in the process. And so we want to eliminate that. So let's list some of the waste that we have that we encounter in Lean. Defects and errors, overproduction, waiting is a big waste, non-utilized skills of people, transportation, unnecessary transportation from one point to another, transportation of materials is there's a lot of waste there in the way manufacturing and some of the warehousing and distribution services work. We want to look at that waste. Inventory, as we talked about, unnecessary motion as well. So even motion of the people when they are performing the task, there is a lot of waste there that can, that does not add value for the customer. Extra processing. So if you have too many steps to perform before we can produce the output, it becomes extra processing, over processing of information, over processing of materials, too many parts, too many nuts and bolts to fix. It's all extra processing. That's why there is always an effort in manufacturing to reduce the number of parts, right? Especially in automotive sector, where there are thousands and thousands of parts that are put together. So all these ways, they don't really add value from a customer perspective, right? They only serve to raise costs. So we need to be looking for these ways in our processes as Lean practitioners, and we work as teams to reduce with the goal of eliminating these ways completely. So how do we do that? We use some Lean methods and tools. Lean, as you know, it's a manufacturing technique that was developed in Japan. And really, popularized and perfected there. So some of the terms you will notice are Japanese terms. So 5S is a powerful method to develop a visual workplace that is practiced in manufacturing as well as in warehousing, distribution, wherever there are large setups. 5S comes in very handy to develop a visual workplace. We will also learn in our Lean Six Sigma training another powerful technique called value stream map, where we will, instead of process in Lean, we call it value stream, right? How we add value to the customer through our products and services, we map that, right? And then we identify the waste and we eliminate the waste. So in Lean Six Sigma training, we will also learn about this tool, very powerful methodology called value stream mapping. Then we are just learned about PDCA, plan, do, check, act. This is the method that we use to undertake any of the continuous improvement activities that we do under Lean. Okay, so we plan first what we need to do, where we are, what we need to do, what is the gap. It's called improvement gap. We identify that. We set out a plan of certain actions that will help us, identify and reduce the waste. Okay, so we implement that plan, we check the results, and then we act on it. And we act, and so that we can socialize that whatever we have done. Also, again, keep in mind, lean is very people oriented and value focused. Then there is another method and tool called Kanban. So Kanban is a way that we can streamline flow in our processes. So we basically, try to improve the workflow of people, materials, information, all that. And Kanban is very popular even today in digital world. Kanban is used extensively to bring about changes in the way the work is handled and the projects are completed and software is developed. It's extensively used in software development these days. Kaizen is an event, right? It's a continuous improvement event. We call it Kaizen, and it's popularized in the US and Canada as Kaizen blitzes. The blitz is a German word we have incorporated. So these are basically, we want to change for good. From where we are, we want to improve it. So we undertake Kaizen events, which are rapid improvement events that we organize as teams, and then we implement. We develop the plan, we do the plan, we check the result that we are getting, and we act on it. So putting it all together in a box, in a time box, and with a clear-cut, well laid out action items that are visible to the entire team, we undertake Kaizen event to do that. So even for 5S, we can take a Kaizen event and make 5S happen. So that's the powerful overall mindset and technique to improve our processes and the way we interact with our processes. So people and processes interaction is undertaken in Kaizen to change for the better. Okay, so these are some of the methods and tools we will cover in Lean Six Sigma training to identify and eliminate waste. Keep in mind, Lean is primarily focused on elimination of waste from the processes. So when we talk about processes, what is a process? Firstly, how do I deliver products and services to my customers, right? That's the question that we need to answer. We need to understand processes are of fundamental importance. So whatever we do to deliver products and services to our customers, we do it. How we do it is the process. So this is the backbone of the organization. That is why we want to understand processes that we are working on and find ways using Lean and Six Sigma to improve the processes. So to define a process, it's a set of activities that are performed to convert inputs into outputs to create value. Once again, we hear this term value because we definitely want whatever we are doing must add value to the customer. Otherwise, it's a waste, as we know from Lean. There are two types of processes. Manufacturing processes in manufacturing industry, where we convert inputs, materials mostly, into outputs. People work on that and we convert that into value-added outputs for our customer. And in the service industry, such as in government, as well as in consulting, we have service processes. So these are also known as business processes. So that's irrespective of whether we are dealing with manufacturing processes or with service processes, the components of the process are similar. We take inputs from suppliers, materials, equipment, as well as people's efforts. We take those inputs, we perform a set of activities that are put together, banded together, or identified as a process. Okay. And then that process, using those activities and people's effort, we produce outputs that are of value to our customers or end users, right? And those outputs, what are those? Those are products and services that are of value to the customer. So significance of processes, let's get that understood clearly, is that process is fundamentally important for any organization. Processes are the foundation, they are the backbone of the organizations, and that's why we need to be focused as uh, Lean Six Sigma practitioners on improving those processes, because process outputs need to meet customer expectations. Unfortunately, a lot of times we work in organizations, especially large organizations, they tend to lose focus from their primary purpose of serving customers. What the product, how they are adding value for the customer, how much value are they adding. They tend to sometimes lose focus on that, right? Processes get inefficient, they produce poor quality products and take too long to produce the products and services. So they do not meet their customer expectations. Key question to ask: how to know a process does not meet customer expectations, right? As as Lean Six Sigma practitioner, we want to ask is, how is the process not meeting customer expectations? At this point, do you have any questions for me? If you have, we will have about 5 minutes. Maybe we can take a look at the questions.
No, so you can continue.
If you have any comments also, you can say it, not just
Yeah,
question.
just ask any questions here live. Just unmute and ask the questions if you have any. So far, what we have covered. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free.
Go ahead, Rohit. You can say the comment which you put in.
So, sir, you are telling lean adding value. So, I think TOPSL can be synonym of lean. It's keep on adding value.
Yeah,
Thank you.
excellent,
Thank you.
excellent.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
no, wonderful, Rohit. That's a great comment. Yes, I was actually, I see that, that the e-cell, TOPSL is, adding value to our customers. Who is our customers? You are our customers. So we want to add value to you through our activities, through learning, through sharing our experiences. We definitely want to add value so that you take the most use of it, make the most use of it, and learn and grow. Right? Definitely, great comment. So yeah, it's not only for businesses, but in our lives, as we saw the example. Right? We add value to our families. We add value to our communities through our actions. And once we become cognizant of that, then we continue to improve and
Yes.
continue to enrich our society. Any other comments?
And another thing which you mentioned in the beginning, Suhasji, is the mindset. And that's something we talk about it all the time. Is if the mindset is what makes everything happen. So develop the mindset to have, if suppose say you want to go to US, then develop the mindset to make that happen. Without the mindset, just doing any activity randomly saying I'm busy does not help. So nice. Thank you very much for re-emphasizing mindset again through your talk.
Through
Yeah,
Lean
that
Six
was my
Sigma.
that was my actually intention, is that I noticed such such powerful mindset that we are developing through eCell, and I wanted to emphasize that because in the company too, it's the values, right? Lean values, the culture was more important than pure technical knowledge, right? Because it's a team effort. In organizations, we work with teams, so technical skills are important, but at the same time, the mindset, the behaviors, that the positive values that we have, that we want to solve problems for our organization, we want to solve the problems for our customers, and in a collaborative team effort. So definitely something there to take away, that if you are going to learn lean, that we have to have the positive mindset and the lean mindset for to be efficient, to be focused, as Shravan sir said. We need to be focused on our goal, that we want to eliminate waste, right? So same way, we want to make sure that we work on the value adding activities in as students, so that we see that we are progressing, and then we achieve that state. Okay, so with that significance of processes, and we want to understand when do we know that we are not meeting customer expectations. Let's get to another healthcare scenario. Again, in the midst of a pandemic, we are seeing that patients are being taken to hospitals, to emergency rooms. They get registered and they get admitted to critical care units, right? And they get put on oxygen as well, a ventilator, oxygen, and drugs. So this is happening every day on such a large scale across the globe, especially now in India. You hear about hospitals. Some hospitals are able to do well and provide a good quality of care for their patients, and some not so well. They are struggling because maybe they are not equipped with the right resources, workers, as well as equipment, as well as the capacity. So we hear about, there is a lot of talk going on about what is working, what is not working, are the hospitals are doing a good job or not, this hospital is doing better than the other hospital. So it's all, um, uh, yes, we do look at numbers, but a lot of times it's a lot of relative perception, right? So what believe it or not, 30 years, more than 30 years back, when Lean Six Sigma was invented, the quality was also termed this way. People will talk about good quality, great, better, percent, better, we are world-class quality, best. So what does all mean? So Bill Smith from Motorola, who developed Six Sigma methodology, uh, he wanted to develop a measurement scale, a quality scale, using Sigma. Okay, so that we understand clearly what is a poor quality, what is an average quality, and what is best quality, right? So that was the big discovery, that was the invention, and that was the breakthrough methodology that Bill Smith developed at Motorola, because every company organization was facing these challenges, not knowing exactly how they are doing. So he set up a benchmark. So Six Sigma is a set of methods and tools collectively put together using primarily based on statistics and analysis, data analysis, to have a common frame of reference across the organizations to measure quality. Okay, so that you know where you are, because as they say, what gets measured will get improved, right? So with that philosophy and mindset again of Six Sigma quality, we have now a quality scale, a standard to measure quality, thanks to Six Sigma. So what is it? It's basically a defect scale. Okay, Six Sigma is focused on quality. Um, and what we talk about in quality is what sort of defects are we seeing. So we measure defects. Once again, going back to our earlier points, that processes produce products and services. We see defects on the products and errors in our services. So what gets noticed are the defects. So when we have, say, a Three Sigma process according to the scale, we will have 66,810 parts or defects per million defect opportunities. We will get to defects per opportunity and what it means and all that through our training. But look at the scale, it's a log scale where from Three Sigma of 66,000 or so defects, when we move to Four Sigma, we can see a visible, in fact, really remarkable difference. We get down to 6,200 defects in 1 million opportunities. At Five Sigma, we will be at 233 parts per million, which is 233 defects per million. And at Six Sigma, we are almost defect free. We have a tolerance for only 3.4 defects per million. So you can see that how we can move from Three Sigma to Six Sigma and have almost defect-free product. So this is a scale of Sigma and parts per million. Okay, so this scale is used often to measure. Okay, so wherever our process is, what we do is we go there, and we measure the current baseline, and then we set up targets for improvement. So when we are talking about Sigma and Six Sigma, let's understand what it stands for. So understanding variation. So Sigma, lot of you probably have heard this term Sigma and know what Sigma stands for. What does this is a Greek letter, right? What does it stand for? It's standard deviation, a statistical term, the basic statistical term that refers to variation in data. It provides a measure of variation. So we draw a sample of our products and we notice the quality and we notice how much it varies and we calculate the sigma, right? We start with a sample, but usually this is referring to the population, the entire population that we have. So higher sigma naturally means more variation in data, right? What would be the effect of such variation? Again, going back to product quality, it will vary. More of product will not meet customers' needs, which is not a good situation, which is, the variation exists in the process and it manifests itself in the products or services for the customers, as I was saying, right? So that's why it's important to understand the processes, identify what is causing the variation. And in Six Sigma, we learn a set of statistical analysis tools, graphical analysis tools to understand our processes, how they are doing, where the variation is, what are the causes of this variation as a team again, and what can we do? How can we reduce this variation? That is what we would learn in Lean Six Sigma training. So this is what Sigma is. Let's go to Six Sigma now. So what is Six Sigma? It's a scale used to measure process quality, as we were talking about, invented in Motorola in 1980s, and still very popular across the globe. All Fortune 500 organizations use Lean Six Sigma in one form or another to measure process quality in terms of its capabilities to meet customer specifications as a sigma level of the process. So sigma is variation or standard deviation, but sigma level really talks about the capability of the process or quality of the process, if you will. Okay, so that's the subtle difference that we need to keep that in mind. Higher the sigma level, less the variation. It's the exact opposite of sigma. Sigma level is the exact opposite of sigma, the standard deviation. So less variation and more capable process. So that's what we want, isn't it? Like we want more capable process because more capable process is more predictable. A higher sigma level process will produce products that meet customer specifications consistently. That's our goal in Six Sigma, is to reduce the variation, produce defect-free products, and maximum tolerance for defects is 3.4 defects per million opportunities, is almost defect-free product. So if we can attain Six Sigma in manufacturing, that's a wonderful goal. That's a vision for companies. You hear about in automotive sector, you hear about so many recalls, so many quality issues. So clearly automotive industry as a whole is not operating at Six Sigma level yet. In spite of last 30 years of efforts, they continue to have defect, they continue to have quality problems, recalls, and things like that. So keep that in mind. That's why Six Sigma is such a valuable skill to have. Six Sigma learning, the training is such a valuable skill to have because you can contribute in your organization's efforts to improve quality systematically using a structured process. So what is Six Sigma? It's a continuous improvement journey to attain process perfection. It's not over. Six Sigma, as we can see, is very hard to attain. In spite of 30, 40 years of Six Sigma in place, well, a lot of companies in their processes, they have not attained Six Sigma. So we will start the journey. Let's say, we measure how our process is doing on the quality scale. We found that it is operating at 3 Sigma level. So that is 93.3% good. A lot of people will say, wow, that's great. We at least have 93.3% improvement in service, especially in service industry. 95% customer satisfaction, 93% customer satisfaction would be considered nice to have for many companies. They talk about it. They're very happy. But we are not happy with that. We want to attain Six Sigma in our processes. So Six Sigma is our goal. So this is the journey that we undertake as Six Sigma green belts, yellow belts, green belts, black belts, and master black belts to take our organization from where it is to where it needs to be. And it's sure it's a journey because it's not easy to get there. Another thing that I would like you to notice is that we have something called lower customer specification limit and higher customer specification limit. Most important thing to remember, if anybody would talk about Six Sigma and wants to learn about Six Sigma, it is also relative to what the customer is expecting from you. Okay, so everything that we do, we are doing it for our customers, for our community, for our society, for our organization, for our enterprise, right? Or our college or our university, wherever we are, in whichever system we are working in, whichever organization we are working in, we can apply Lean and we can apply Six Sigma with the goal to meet the expectations of our customers. And typically, you may have a lower customer specification limit. For example, a part needs to be between certain length. A part needs to be between certain width, certain diameter. It cannot have whatever, we produce from our product, right? So we take those specifications and we incorporate that in our processes, and we make sure that our process produces products that meet customer specification and customer specification limits. When most of the product meets customer specifications or well within the customer specifications, to be precise, 99.99966% of the product is good, with only 3.4 defects per million opportunities. It's called 3.4 DPMO. Keep that term in mind, and through training, we will understand more about it. Okay, so to see how hard it would be to attain Six Sigma is that we need to have a defect-free product. No customer complaint, that means. No defect, no recall, no accidents, no hospital deaths, no infections after surgery, post-surgery. So this is the kind of culture, this is the kind of goal we want to attain. This is what we have in mind as we undertake our continuous improvement journey with Six Sigma methods and tools to produce defect-free product or service that we offer to our customers, to our users. In government, we don't have customers, but we have users. So again, in public sector too, we talk about making sure that our users do not see any defects, right? Vis-a-vis the customer limit. And that is why in a lot of organizations, what we do is we set up standards of service, standard of care in hospitals, standard of care in medicine, so you will hear these terms. So what are the standards? Those are really what we want our customers to expect from us. We have to set those standards. We have to set that bar that we want to exceed for our customers wherever possible. That is what the journey from 3 Sigma to 6 Sigma will do, is help us exceed those expectations. So we measure 6 Sigma vis-a-vis customer limits. Okay, so keep that in mind. So what is 6 Sigma? It's a problem-solving method where we define the problem clearly. We measure aspects of the problem. We analyze the causes for the problem. We improve process capability. From 3 Sigma, say, we want to go to 6 Sigma, right? And then once we have improved the process, we want to control it. We want to sustain the gains through control plan, through control charts. We want to monitor the process in place so that we stay on track. So, and then we undertake this cycle again, because with time, processes degrade. With time, customer expectations change. So this cycle is an ongoing cycle. That is why it's called continuous improvement mindset that we need to have. We use define, measure, analyze, improve, control. We also refer to that as an acronym called DMAIC. We use DMAIC method and a set of graphical and statistical data analysis tools to solve process problems. In fact, based continuous improvement projects. So we base on the facts, not on what we hear, what we about the people behavior, but Six Sigma is more around facts and data, and using that data to improve the processes. Because keep in mind, a lot of people these days, I hear so much about data analysis and big data and all kind of artificial intelligence and things like that. Data doesn't live in isolation. Okay, so as engineers, as chemical engineers, we are quite aware that processes create data. What we do creates data. The way we behave creates data. So you can't look at data in isolation from the process. That is called a brute force method. And a lot of times I have seen, artificial intelligence routines being developed where it's brute force. They just fit all kinds of models and try to see, what can work. So of course it's evolving science, it's evolving, but this is very important to remember as students here of Lean Six Sigma, that processes and data go together. We want to use the process data to improve the process. We want to quantify our improvements and then control the process. So that's, in a nutshell, Six Sigma problem solving method. So what is Six Sigma vision? We want to reduce variation. From where we have large sigma, we want to reduce that in time to a Six Sigma level where the variation is minimal. Only then we will have no defects. With leadership and the right process and tools, with the Lean Six Sigma DMAIC methodology and the tools that we learn in our Six Sigma training, we apply that in a project setting and we reduce variation over time and attains a goal of Six Sigma. That's the vision of Six Sigma. A bit about history of Six Sigma, right? Why we want to learn Six Sigma? It's been in use for the last 30 years. There is a reason for it. It's not a management fad or flavor of the year type of methodology. It's here to stay. It's been here for the last 30, 40 years and still going strong. Started in Motorola and now can see that so many Fortune 500 companies have adopted this, and now government and large service sectors like telecom, insurance, healthcare, they are also into Six Sigma and they are using Six Sigma methodology and tools to improve their processes and achieve process excellence. Okay, so it's still widely in use. So good reason for us to learn Six Sigma. Do you have any comments at this point?
Really love this point of improvement, like improving it continuously. We always have a scope of betterment.
Yes, definitely. So that's a mindset, as Shravan sir said, that continuous improvement is a mindset that we need to develop, right? We should not be satisfied with the status quo. What we have, we want to set up certain targets and goals and achieve it. And Six Sigma is providing us a very, fortunately, a structured and a systematic way to achieve that in industrial settings, in businesses, as well as in non-profit organizations, as well as in for-profit organizations, public sector, government. Everywhere it is spreading. Why? Because they see the benefit, the value it brings to actually develop a culture of. Any other comments or questions?
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Yes, sir. Actually, if you take a small business, for example, any marketing business, they always think about their client satisfaction. Will they wanted to reach their clients whatever their requirements, right? So
Yeah.
the marketing company will think that yeah, they have to satisfy their clients' requirements, obviously. And if for example they doesn't know about Six Sigma, but they inbuiltly think that they want to reach their clients' requirements, right? So if they don't know about Six Sigma, they do the same actions. So how it differs? If you know Six Sigma, how it differs for them, or if they don't know about this, but um, they normally they do that for their clients' requirements, right? So
Mhm.
it will useful for them.
Right, right. So even in small business settings, small to mid-sized businesses, yes. So marketing always, is there that they want to satisfy the client requirements, right? I worked for a company where you have marketing. They design products. They organize, with product engineering, and they design products and they launch products. But yet, a lot of those products come back. There are defects. There are returns. Coming back from companies like Walmart or Costco or all these giant names that you may have heard. So many millions and millions of products are made and sold, and yet we have problems, right? So yes, in a small business, marketing knows that they need to meet customer requirements. If they don't know about Six Sigma, yes, what you look at it and try to solve it. You need a methodology, right? So Six Sigma formally, you know, not knowing Six Sigma, it's okay. But what we need to do is we need to know how do we got to go back to the processes. Even marketing has processes. Sales, I have helped sales complete several Six Sigma projects because ultimately there are sales processes, how we sell, how we develop markets, how we make sure that there is a satisfaction. So there are ways of surveys, there are ways of conducting surveys, there are ways of obtaining customer data, engaging customers. These are all part of the Six Sigma world where we systematically learn how to meet customer satisfaction, how to meet customer requirements, right? What are those requirements? We can take those instead of trying to firefight and troubleshoot. We also design using the customer requirements, using design for Six Sigma techniques. So knowledge is powerful, right? Not knowing, you can take an ad hoc approach, trial and error. But here we get a certain set of tools and methods that allow us to organize the information, organize the process data, go back to the processes, work with the teams, right? Because we need to help everybody develop that mindset. So just because I'm in marketing, and I have heard these excuses too. I mean, because I'm in marketing, I don't really need to learn Six Sigma or Lean. No, it's not true. Because if you have Six Sigma, then you can be better at your work, whatever work you are doing, right? And in an interactive way, team way. So that's the whole idea of Lean Six Sigma, is that we want to develop a common language. We want to develop a certain set of a certain set of tools. We want to develop certain methods that we approach these problems. So excellent question. That do we need Six Sigma in marketing environment? Yes, we do. If we use it, we are going to be better. We are going to be more focused. We will have a systematic way of meeting our customer requirements. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you Suhasi and others, if you look at eCell, we have actually created we pretty much use Six Sigma in our journey. So start looking at where we came from to where we are, and you will notice that we use Six Sigma. Only thing is we didn't know the terminology, we didn't know all of that, but we used logic.
You had the mindset. You had
Exactly.
the mindset that we want to improve. We want to be better from where
Right.
we are today, right? So that's why, even with Supraja, who is one of the students that I'm mentoring, right, Supraja, I discussed the same thing. We want to develop where are we today, right? And so that